I guess one of the things I've kind of noticed about the last, it used to be kind of, economies tended to be kind of running in the same group in Western Europe and here. But it seems now that at least in the case, we have the case of Germany,
Right.
Canada to the north of us, seem to be on better financial footing than we are.
Yeah.
And they tended to be more regulated economies. Is there a,
Well, look, I'm not for over-regulation.
Right.
But clearly, we went
Right.
way too far on no regulation.
Mhm.
Basic Securities Exchange, man, look at Bernie Madoff.
Right.
I mean, basically, they weren't even doing the basic,
Right.
protecting investors. Their
Right.
basic approach was their clients were was Wall Street and people who work on Wall Street. So clearly,
Right.
We went way too far. But what has happened? Certain groups in this society have been very good about deeming federal regulation and federal bureaucrats and the rest of that. And I just bring it back. I saw an article in the paper. It was commenting on me, and the fellow said, look, I work on Wall Street. No matter what regulations they put up, we're going to get around it.
right.
And I'm like, oh, that's a good approach. I said that's the approach, like what you say to the, you have crime in a community, and you say the criminals are going to get around whatever you do, so let's just pull all the cops off the street.
Okay.
That's exactly the same. So regulation, I had a professor in graduate school who's always used to talk about, the most basic regulation in our society is the police.
Right.
They regulate. They make sure that you don't go down the street and smash a window and grab the jewelry out of the thing.
Right.
And they're the ones that make sure. Now, do we still have crime? Absolutely, we still have crime. But the idea that people would suggest that we should not regulate crime, that we should not regulate things so that the police are on the beat doing their job, I mean, that just is ridiculous. And that's how ridiculous it is to say that we should be carrying on all these other industries. Look what happened to the food industry. We didn't regulate that. And the biggest one is, look what happened in the Gulf with the oil spill.
Right.
I mean, we didn't have regulators out there on the wells, and the people we did have regulating it were working in the oil industry, came in, they were regulators, and then went back to the oil industry after they were through.
Why does the name Halliburton keep coming up?
Why does the name Halliburton keep coming up? And this latest thing about the cement is the concrete is absolutely incredible, where they say that, and again, this is just the beginning, but
Right.
that really, which makes a lot of sense to me as an engineer, that the concrete, there was something wrong with the concrete that went into the well, and the well was never right to begin with,
Right.
and the pipe was never set properly, and that's the reason why, no matter what we capped, there was still oil coming around it. And one of the explanations is that the concrete was porous, the concrete didn't go all the way to the wells. So it makes a lot of sense to me. But why is it between Halliburton, Transocean, who owns the website, and BP to make a decision on what the quality of the concrete is going to be?
Right.
Where is the federal regulator?
Right.
I mean, we wouldn't build a post office. We wouldn't allow a contractor on a post office job, a federal post office job, or a private sector post office job, just go out and decide, well, I'm going to use this concrete, this is how I'm going to do it, I'm going to put it in. As long as the general contractor and I agree, it's perfectly okay. No, you have an inspector on the job who looks at that concrete and says, this concrete has to be made to these specifications.
And again, I know it's different, but I know there's been a huge problem with highway concrete being this way. So
Exactly.
they knew the concrete had these problems intrinsically, and that yet there wasn't any,
So I mean,
regulation.
we know, and the food and the lead paint,
Right.
and I mean, how many things do we have over the last 8 to 10 years
Right.
where we didn't have regulators, and it was basically the view of so many people who now want to get back in power and do it again,
Right.
who talk about overregulation, and we have good people who say, well, we have too much regulation in society. Well, look, I am totally against overregulation. I think free enterprise, I'm a free enterprise guy. I think we should allow free enterprise. But you need cops on the meat. You need inspectors in our meat plants. We need inspectors in our toy plants.
Right.
We need inspectors on our drilling units off the coast.
Right.
And we need inspectors on Wall Street keeping track of what's going on. Not overregulation,
Right.
but clearly we need cops on the beat because there are people out there that will use the system, as was well demonstrated in what's happened in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. People like Bernie Madoff, people like Mazzillo, the guy at Countrywide,
Right.
people like at Washington Mutual, people who will, if not watched and if not monitored, will do questionable things.